What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with the first full week of gameplay action here in the second season of this FCS Dynasty. We got 8 separate games on tap for y'all here today, and it should be a good one. Hope you guys are excited for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button if you do happen to be brand new to the channel as well. And let's go ahead and hop right into it. First game of the evening, we got Eastern Kentucky taking on Nicholls State, who is led by the combo of Frederick McNair and Deuce Randolph. But Deuce Randolph is going to fumble the football there, and Eastern Kentucky is going to get an easy opportunity to get points on the board. Except the problem is they did end up going ahead and fumbling the bag there, as we are seeing the Colonels of Nicholls State. Both teams are named the Colonels, so maybe we need to call this the Colonel Bowl or something. But we'll see Frederick McNair taking a lot of heat early on in this ball game, as that offensive line still needs a little bit of work for Nicholls State. So Frederick McNair is going to get sacked there. It's going to be forcing Eastern Kentucky to receive this football here. And this might be a touchdown. First touchdown of week number 2 is going to be from the special teams unit, as the Colonels of Eastern Kentucky, they will go ahead and take a 7-0 lead early. So how does Nicholls State respond? We haven't seen very many positive things on offense, but the best thing that you can do is just go ahead and make sure that you don't even need to worry about that offense, as Tony Atkins is going to get a 96-yard kick return, and that is going to be a touchdown for Nicholls State. But if I'm showing special teams, you know something is about to go down. Can Eastern Kentucky match the special team score? And nobody is going to touch this man, as he's also going to go ahead and get a touchdown of his own there, a 93-yard score. So a 14-7 lead. Eastern Kentucky, they do end up pulling right back ahead. And not only that, but the Colonels are just making everything happen in this game. How about this for a stats? Eastern Kentucky is up 21-7, and they have negative 11 yards of total offense, and they're up by 2 scores. Simply incredible. You don't see that any day, but the huge reason why Nicholls State is just continuing to get itself into holes, they're turning that football over just a little bit too much here. And it's setting up easy field position, as sometimes it's just simply better to be lucky than it is to be good. We see the impact corner make a play on the football. He actually does deflect this thing away, and it bounces right to a tight end. McFarland simply being in the right place at the right time, and it's 31-7 in favor of Eastern Kentucky. But not all bad for Nicholls State. They do blow that man up like a Christmas tree. It's now 3rd down coming up for Eastern Kentucky. They're 3 for 6 on the day, so doing a nice job moving the chains, but 3rd and 12 is going to be difficult to pick up, except the receiver able to make the catch and run his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Colonels. And Eastern Kentucky starting their season off with a blowout, and that is going to be a nice confidence booster for this program. They can keep up the same energy, as it's just been a fumble-rooski kind of day for Nicholls State. Their 3rd fumble of this game. Just the Butterfingers, just an absolute pandemic among this Colonel offense, as Frederick McNair, he is going to fumble the football as well, as that is Mike Taylor that's going to get his 2nd sack of the afternoon. He's going to get the fumble as well to go with it, and another opportunity to add some more points onto the board. 41-7 already, as we will see the tailback run this thing into the end zone. Another touchdown for Eastern Kentucky, and that is all she wrote here in this first game of this episode. Eastern Kentucky with a very convincing win, ending up with a 51-7 victory over Nicholls State. The Colonels of Nicholls State with a 3-game losing streak still. Speaking of losing streaks, we have Indiana State on tap to play host to Tennessee State. Now, these two teams did play up against each other last year. They got a home-and-home going on. And Tennessee State, they blew out Indiana State back in season number 1. But we'll see if Indiana State can, play a little bit better this year. Not by any means expecting Indiana State to win this game, as they're led by the duo of Matthew Berry, the senior quarterback, as well as Brock Lawrence, who is the centerpiece of this offense. Very dangerous running back. He's a 90 overall and has a very good chance of going to the NFL as an FCS player. But this Indiana squad is showing a little bit more fight as they got this opening drive and, getting some good yards here early. Able to get it across the 50-yard line. We'll see if they can continue to push it downfield as they're across the 50. As now, we're going to go ahead and see a play action here on 1st and 10. Going to grid it out to the perimeter. And it looks like it's going to be Redmond Porter, the custom prospect, playing at wide receiver. Gets his first career catch of his college career and also his first career touchdown. So it's going to be a 7-3 lead here. It's been absolutely incredible what we've been seeing from the Sycamores so far as Redmond Porter continues to do great work here early. He's got 2 touchdowns receiving already in this game. He's been having a huge impact as a true freshman. But can Tennessee State, they will not be contained forever as Brock Lawrence is going to take the handoff. He's going to follow his blockers, and once he gets to that second level, good luck with that as Brock Lawrence is just looking at green grass, and that's going to be a 77-yard touchdown that will help the Tigers get it back down to just a 4-point game here before we go into the first quarter of play. It's been a really exciting first quarter of action so far for sure, but the Sycamores, big thing here, they are putting up a fight. So just off rip, they are already doing better just from that caveat. As Indiana State, they're actually going to be able to pick off Matthew Berry here as Mike Terry is going to get the INT here, and that's going to set up the Sycamores beautifully inside the 30-yard line, just outside of the red zone. All they really need is just 1 first down maybe, and they'll be good to go. They don't get that, so they're going to go for it here on 4th and 10 as Marcellus Lawless, the corner for Tennessee State, he's going to be screaming off of this cornerback blitz and just never stood a chance. So Indiana State, they can't take advantage of the turnover. It remains a 4-point game, but the Tigers also cannot score in their next possession. They have to punt this thing away as Redmond Porter gets loose again. This is going to be the 3rd touchdown of the day for him. He's been doing everything for the Sycamore offense as they go into the halftime locker room. 21-10 lead. We might have our first serious upset here in week number 2 as Brock Lawrence gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree here. But they will continue to move this football. 1st and 10 from the 38. We'll see if they go to Lawrence. No. Play action. Berry looking to the left-hand side, and that's intercepted. Berry just having a difficult time here today, as that is now the 2nd turnover that the Sycamores of Indiana State force on the day. Maybe it's that new logo that they just got courtesy of that NCAA 06 Next mod. This is on version 9 as a recording of this video for those that are curious. And yes, we do of course have that Next mod. I gotta come through with the most up-to-date stuff here as this receiver is going to get loose as well, and this will cut it back down to a 1-score game. 48-yard touchdown pass. Berry finally getting involved in the passing game. We'll see if he finds that rhythm here in the second half and lead his guys to a comeback as we continue in this second half. I thought we were in the second half, but that was actually just the second quarter. So yeah, I'm just stupid in that regard though. And look at this. Another touchdown for Indiana State. This is, no matter what happens in this game, this has been great improvement for Indiana State. They really struggled last year putting points on the board. And the fact that they already got 28 points scored in this game, that's a huge improvement. And if they can keep that up throughout the course of the year, that'll be a great sign. But Andy Larson, the starting quarterback, he does get shaken up on that last touchdown throw. And not only is he hurt, he's hurt extremely bad. So what Indiana State has, because they don't have any more starting, at least scholarship quarterbacks, they are actually taking one of these wide receivers. This is Todd Edwards, by the way, and he is going to play some quarterback. Just incredible. And Todd Edwards isn't making it work somehow. I'm really surprised with this. Marcellus Wallace does get the touchdown saving tackle. But look at this right here. The one unique thing about having a wide receiver at quarterback, you do get that additional mobility. And listen, Edwards, not used to playing that quarterback position. He's just going to scramble. And hey, to his credit, finds a way to make it work. And Tennessee State now in serious trouble. They still cannot get points on the board. And look at this throw that Todd Edwards makes. This is incredible. To Redmond Porter, he makes a play on the ball, just throws it up there. And listen, this is a team that was on an 11-game losing streak. With Princeton winning last episode, they have the longest losing streak in college football right now. And now we're talking about them possibly breaking that here today. This is just absolutely incredible. As Brock Warren's feeling the heat of the moment, trying to get it all back at once, but Brock Warren is going to put the ball on the ground here. It's going to be another turnover, and it sets up Todd Edwards and company. We'll see if the beginner's luck continues to shine here. As now, Edwards is going to go play action. He's going to run once again. He's very fast, and we are seeing that here, as that man was certainly almost gone, like a girl in a country song there. That's his 5th carry of the day. He has 70 yards rushing, 140 yards passing. Don't know what his receiving stats are, but he's also doing a little bit of everything for the Sycamores. As we'll see Edwards drop back again with the wide receiver number. Finds Redmond Porter again. 5 touchdowns for Redmond Porter. If he doesn't win player of the week at this point, like, we might have to riot in, for favor of Redmond Porter, because that was an amazing performance. Really saw some adversity from Indiana State. They overcome at the quarterback position, and they pull the upset. Tennessee State was ranked. I don't think they're going to be ranked anymore after this week. So with Tennessee State now losing, I would assume that this would now open up a spot in the top 25. Youngstown State, you saw that national ranking pop up on screen. They're 27th, so they are right there, looking for their first top 25 ranking of this series. They are also in and home as they took on Illinois State at home last year, and now we'll see them on the road as this Youngstown State squad, led by their quarterback Andre Downing, who is a junior redshirt at the quarterback position. Very talented quarterback as well, going up against Bryant Ward, who's going to take his first pass of the day. Gets it out to the receiver, and a good reception there. Had to go behind the back a little bit to make this catch, but it's good for a 33-yard gain there. And it sets up Illinois State with good field position, but in no man's land. They got to go for it on 4th down, and they're not going to get it, as Daryl Thomas is going to be screaming on that safety blitz. Offensive line not able to pick that up, and that's going to be barbecue chicken every single time. Most of these quarterbacks do not have the mobility to dodge that kind of tackle without any sort of block, and so still remains tied at 0 apiece. But give credit to the Redbirds. They're able to, find some holes in the secondary early. We'll see if they can punch it in here to start the second quarter, as Ward, gonna go play action here, and it's caught. Touchdown, Illinois State, and the Birds are flying early, as Illinois State is gonna take that 7-0 lead here, as Ward just fires that one right into the deep of the defense. And a 7-0 lead here early. Illinois State also really struggling last year. 1-10, 2-9 tops, like this kind of team. Whereas Youngstown State, they have a lot to build off of. One of the best teams, to be honest, to miss the FCS playoffs. They went 8-4 last year and didn't even get a national ranking. This is a program that's been slept on. And so we'll see if Youngstown State can make their first playoff appearance this year. But they got to take care of business against Illinois State. And honestly, things not looking good here, as this could be a 2-score game, but it's going to be intercepted. A huge stop. And how about this? This linebacker's still going. He's able to get a spin move, able to get a little stiff arm action in there as well. Like, somebody get this man over on the offensive side of the ball. Should be playing fullback at least. But either way, linebacker does a good job with making that interception. Keeps it a 1-score game. As now we'll see if this offense can finally find some rhythm when we might see a score here. As the Penguins march into the red zone. They've been getting some first downs, but they haven't been able to really string together that drive yet. They haven't done so, at least just yet. But maybe this will change. First and goal from the 4-yard line. Downing, he's going to hand it. No, it's a play action. Looks to the left and finds actually 2 receivers. He had his pick. Just kind of threw it for whoever wanted it. And it does end up being a touchdown for the Penguins. That will be a 3-point lead. Youngstown State with their first lead of the day. Brian Ward looking for a response, but he just throws a hospital ball. As after that outside linebacker doesn't make the catch, he pulverizes that poor receiver. Luckily, he is going to be perfectly okay, but not this tailback though. As Stephen Young is going to fumble the football there. A turnover in favor of the Penguins, as they will be setting up shot in Illinois State territory. As Downing looking, he's going to face pressure as he tries to climb up into the pocket. Unfortunately, that pocket just collapses around him eventually. And a long 3rd down, 3rd and 15, as Downing trying to throw again. Cleaner pocket this time, and is able to rifle it up in the air and finds his receiver. One-on-one, trusted this guy to make a play, and he certainly did that. And looking for another touchdown for Downing as he rolls to the right, looks to his fullback, and look at the effort by the fullback. That's going to be a touchdown. And we also saw John Cottrell get injured. Now, I thought there might potentially been a fumble, but the fullback did cross the plane before he fumbled the football. So it does end up being counted as a touchdown. 17-7, could be 24-7 here as soon as we see another nice throw by Andre Downing, who's able to throw it right in between 2 defenders. Nice timing. Let's get into the last few minutes of the 4th quarter now. Downing looks to the left, gets it to the tight end, and the tight end is going to rush his way into the end zone. That DB just doesn't have the size to bring him down in time. That's a bar. And it's going to be a 24-7 here as Bryant Ward tries to stave the comeback. Ward in the pocket, but he's going to be sacked once again. And that is going to be a turnover on downs there, as the Penguins looking to secure the bag and get that first top 25 appearance in that FCS top 25 in this series. And that should be enough to accomplish it. We'll have to wait into the end of the episode before we know for certain. But either way, I'm sure the Penguins are just going to be happy with a 27-7 victory against Illinois State. Could have been a trap game. It was close early, but the talent of the depth charts did eventually show in that second half. So the Penguins, they were able to pull away in the latter stages of this ball game. And with that being said, and they also won the turnover battle. That's a big thing too. Winning turnover battle means you're going to win more games. So how about this for our first ever battle between 2 former playoff teams? Not necessarily a rematch from the playoffs, but we got the Brown Bears, who won the Ivy League last year. They were killed in the, well, not killed, but they were narrowly defeated in the first round by Rice, while James Madison coming in with a little bit more hype. Number 1 recruiting class. They made it to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs last year before being bounced pretty badly by Utah State. So both teams looking to build off of that, and this should be a very interesting non-conference matchup as Maurice Gray is going to be able to get open here early. What is there to be said about Maurice Gray that has not been said already, as he is just a very dynamic wide receiver, partly contributing to the success of Kenny Raymer, who looks for a career touchdown pass, number 48, and it looks like that might have been a custom that got his hands on the ball, as that is young Mr. Henderson, one of your guys' customs, that made it onto the James Madison roster. And a 7-0 lead here early, but Marcus Patrick, the true freshman starting for Brown, he's also gonna throw a rocket downfield. First career pass, literally could not have gone any better. An 83-yard touchdown pass. Did it with pressure in his face too, but just threw his ball perfectly. Could not have done any better. And it's all knotted up. Got some exciting action here as BJ Bowers is going to throw a football. He's going to find Jody Gentry, the 5-star true freshman downfield. How about this for a first career catch? It comes from the running back throwing the football. And that is even despite pass interference, which does, of course, get declined. So now, 3rd and 7 a couple plays later, as we see play action. We see Raymer throw it up for his big-time receiver, Brandon Thorne. And Thorne just going up there and climbing the staircase, as he just had that massive size advantage. So 14-7 lead for the Dukes, as James Madison's defense, who also has some notable 5-stars on the team. Like I said, number 1 recruiting class in college football this past offseason. So we're going to get a good look and see how these young guys handle Brown here. As Brown, not as talented as James Madison, but you can tell they play with some discipline, and that really shows on the field. They are definitely still in this game, as Marcus Patrick is going to roll to his right. He's going to fire one over the middle of the field. It's going to be caught, and it's also going to go for a pretty good gain as well. Drops him off just outside of the red zone, as that tailback does a nice job of coming back to the football, as his quarterback was facing some pressure. Is now starting the second quarter. Patrick trying to get rid of this football, but James Madison is going to go ahead and get their second sack of the day, as Patrick just, the blitz was there, but nobody was open. So 2nd and 17, as Patrick will fire to the right hand side, breaks the tackle, and now all of a sudden it's all tied up once again. 14 all. But we'll see if James Madison can add points onto the board before we go into halftime, as he finds Maurice Gray once again, all knotted up at 14, and that should put the Dukes in field goal range. Might have used that official to create a little bit of space, but no pass interference there, and a chance to possibly take the lead before going into the locker room. But Raymer, he's going to get sacked, and it's going to be recovered by the Brown Bears. So the defense bends in this situation, but they will certainly not be breaking, at least not this time around, as it does remain a 14-all game going into the second half here now. We'll see who wants it more. Raymer, 1st and 10, going under center. Got the bunch to the left. Raymer looking left. He's going to fire downfield, and he finds Jody Gentry, the 5-star, for another huge gain downfield. That will put James Madison in the red zone, and we'll see if the Dukes can finish. 2nd and 3. Raymer looking, gonna fire towards the end zone. He's got a man. It's gonna be Maurice Gray, strutting his way into the end zone, as mama, there certainly goes that man, as it's gonna be the biggest lead of the day for James Madison, a 10-point lead. And now Brown desperately needs to go forth and get some points on board. Otherwise, they're going to start the year 0-1. Raymer looks to his left. Could be the dagger, except it's going to be intercepted instead. So the Brown defense, when they needed it the most, they're going to get another huge play. And this could be what they needed to get back into this ball game. It's double coverage, triple coverage, matter of fact. But let's see here. 1:10 left to play. If they don't score on this drive, it's over. As Brown is going to get sacked here. It's going to be 4th and 20 as Charles Walters gets his 7th sack of his collegiate career. So now 4th and 20, and you just got to go with a prayer. Patrick in the shotgun formation. He's going to drop back. He's looking. Going to roll to his right. He's going to fire, and it's going to be caught. And not only is it going to be caught, it's going to be a touchdown as well. Just a 3-point game now after that touchdown. And what a job by Marcus Patrick, keeping his eyes downfield. He is certainly playing with some composure for a freshman, but this game should be over though, except that's fumbled. So hang on, Brown could win this game all of a sudden. Are you serious? Just upsets galore happening, possibly. James Madison is not lost yet, but they are being put in a pretty compromising position. 1st and 10 from the 48. Patrick is 52 yards away from mustering a massive upset, and it's gonna be a lot closer now, as his receiver is gonna, at the very least, get him into field goal range. And they're going to settle for a 28-yard field goal attempt. The kick is up, and it's going to be good. So that does go ahead and tie things up at 24 apiece. And that is going to get us into overtime. Our first overtime game here in season number 2. And it ends up going to double overtime. Neither team able to score. So Brown will start with the ball in this second overtime. But not only is it going to be fumbled, it's going to be recovered as well. And you want to talk about a literal walk-off. We're going to get one right here as the big man is going to do the scoop and score. And that is how James Madison wins the game, 30-24. Now, I might see some things, in the comments or in the Discord saying, James Madison had a lackluster effort. And I disagree. Again, Brown is not as talented as James Madison. No one's going to deny that, obviously. But Brown was a playoff team. This is a solid squad. And James Madison, this is a little bit of a trap game. They were looking forward to... They play New Hampshire. That's their next matchup. And I believe it's in week 4, if I remember correctly. But they looked ahead, and it almost cost them. So that does end up meaning that James Madison narrowly avoids the upset, and we will now go to the game of the week here in week number 2, as we will watch the number 5 North Texas Mean Green going to be taking on the Southern Jaguars. As Southern playoff team, they were bounced in the first round, but they brought in some really talented football players as well in their recruiting class. So it'll be interesting to see if Southern can also take care of business and hold it down here, as we'll go ahead and get things underway midway through the first quarter, as Brandon Neely is just going to throw this thing up to his receiver. And for his credit, Nicholls, he's able to come down with it. A lot of traffic in that back of the end zone, and still able to come down with it. Also want to point out North Texas's new uniforms. That's part of version 9 of the NCAA next mod. Some of the FCS jerseys that will be being featured in version number 10, which will definitely be included in year number 3 for sure. As Mike Hill, he's gonna try to rocket this thing, but overthrows his receiver though. So not an ideal start for the Jaguars, as not only as Mike Hill throws the interception, but the fullback is able to take one to the crib, a 31-yard touchdown run. And just a case where there was defenders in the hole, they just simply missed him. Just, I don't even know what to call that. Just a little bit unfortunate, as Mike Hill really struggling here early on, as he's going to throw his second interception already in this game, and we're not even out of the first quarter yet. That's the sad part. We still got a few more quarters left to play, so Jaguars certainly entering that danger zone, as Ivan Jenkins is going to take the carry, and he's going to run this thing into the end zone, dives for it, and now it's 21-0 in favor of the Mean Green, the number 5 team in college football, and we are watching right before our eyes why they are that number 5 team, as that is just a big lead here early on, as Southern not able to score on their next possession, so they had to punt it right back to North Texas, and Ivan Jenkins just having himself a day. This is his 3rd touchdown run already. I'm curious to see if he's getting tired yet or not, because his jersey, for it being, you know, a little bit raining outside, that was a delayed handoff too. That's the crazy part, and there was just nobody on that right hand side to plug up that hole, and it's going to be one of the easier touchdowns an Ivan Jenkins run is going to get. So 28-0 here, but we got to see some passing too, right? How about same guy, Ivan Jenkins? There was 4 defenders around and no one can bring him down, so a little bit of a Houdini act, and he's going to be gone like a girl in a country song, of course. 35-0. Yeah, that is what the score is right now after the 4th touchdown for Ivan Jenkins on the afternoon, as Southern's offensive woes just continue. Another 3 and out for him. They're going to have to punt this football away. Not Ivan Jenkins taking the kickoff. Somebody else, but it's still going to be that same result though. Another touchdown, this time being 61 yards in the punt return gain, and it just ends up being a brutal game for Southern, losing 77-14, especially on national television. So here's to hoping that this next game is at least a little bit more on the competitive side. We got Montana, who comes in with some pretty high expectations, number 8 on the year, and they will start off going on the road to play against Citadel. Now, we did see Citadel a couple of times, 2 to 3 times in year number 1, and this Citadel is a team to maybe keep an eye on if you're looking for some sleepers to do some damage there in that new look SEC conference. Citadel got blown out early by William and Mary last year, but got better as the year went on, and they're going to get a big test early here. Montana, this number 10 squad, but Citadel is up for the challenge though, as he's going to strut his stuff into the end zone, as the Bulldogs 55-yard passing touchdown. Didn't see this one coming, as this is an option run, well, not necessarily an option run team, but they definitely lean a little bit more on that running gain. So Citadel gets up 7-0 early here, and now we'll see Montana get their first chance at the football here in season number 2, as they will take this thing out of the end zone. We got some space to work with, 1 man left to beat, and the kicker cannot get over in time, and strutting his stuff. Mama, there goes that man. 7 tied at 7, but Citadel with the right idea. If they're going to win this game, dominate that time possession. They had a 17-play drive, and it leads to a field goal. Absolutely incredible stuff, and they're going to need more of those long drives if they're going to pull the upset, because I kid you not, Montana's offense has not touched the field yet at all. Like, not a single possession, and they're leading right now, 14-10. We will finally see them touch the field for the first time midway through the second quarter, and it's going to be Derek Keefe throwing an interception right into Royce Williams, as Citadel with the opportunity to go out there and possibly take the lead. Minute 30 left to play, but a 4th and 11. Gets looking, but he's going to be sacked, but it's going to be a fumble. Citadel will recover it, but it doesn't matter though, because that is going to be a turnover on downs there. So now we'll see Montana take over as Keefe. He's actually going to go ahead and take off with this. Got a couple of blocks. He's going to find the end zone. Touchdown, Montana. As Derek Keefe showing that mobility. We did not see that too often in year number 1. Simply because Derek Keefe was hurt. He was hurt multiple times last year. So here's the hoping that he does end up remaining healthy for the course of his season, because when he's out there on the field, he is a very talented and dynamic football player. It is going to be the difference between how far Montana goes in the FCS playoffs, because they got the defense. You saw that, forcing yet another turnover, a fumble recovery that's going to set up their offense with beautiful field position. But you saw what happened last year in the FCS playoffs, for those that have been following the channel for a little bit. When he went down with the injury, they lost all of their energy. They end up getting knocked out by Kent State in the semifinals. This is a semifinal team as Montana gets another touchdown on board. Derek Keefe gonna throw his first passing touchdown here in season number 2 as 28-10 lead in favor of the Grizzlies, as John Washington, he fumbles the ball yet again. He's been bottled up just a few yards per carry, and also he fumbles the football twice in this game. Just not a recipe for success, as the Bulldogs, down by a few scores at this point, and another turnover as the Citadel is forced to go outside of their comfort zone a little bit. It ends up being an interception this time, and Montana is set up once again with phenomenal field position inside the 30-yard line. Keefe looking, got a clean pocket, gonna fire a rocket into the end zone. Touchdown, Montana. And the Grizzlies 35-10 lead here, as they are looking like a team that, is coming out for blood a little bit. Definitely one of the more impressive performances by a team that is in the top 10 that we have at least witnessed here in gameplay. And that is going to end up being the final score as well. Montana is going to win against the Citadel 35-10. It's going to be really exciting to see what this Montana team can do, as they not only look for their second playoff appearance in this series here in year number 2, but they're also a team that is definitely motivated to go ahead and pursue that first national championship after what was a disappointing end to last season for them. But two teams that did not make it into the playoffs last year, but could be a pretty intriguing matchup, is Arkansas Pine-Bluff taking on the Maine Black Bears. Neither team finishing over 500, but should be an intriguing one. And this is one of the games that the channel members that support this channel in a more personal way, they did select this game. Which, by the way, if you guys wanted to go ahead and join that channel membership program, that is linked down in the description if you want to go ahead and check that out. But custom prospects on both sides. For Maine, we got Flash Williams at the starting quarterback position, as well as Will Smith III, who is starting at DB today. And speaking of Will Smith III, we see him get mossed. There's number 4. That's Will Smith, and just couldn't do anything with it. But Arkansas Pine-Bluff, they got a couple guys as well. Doug Rose being one of them. He's going to get this touchdown here. But as he gets into the end zone, he ends up getting shaken up, and it ends up being an ACL sprain that will keep him out for the remainder of this game. A very dynamic running back that we are definitely going to miss out on, but I'm sure Flash Williams would have liked to miss out on throwing this interception to the corner. As Maine was driving down the field, they had a pretty decent drive here, but not how you wanted to end your very first drive as a starting quarterback at the collegiate level. So Flash Williams with his first career interception thrown. There's going to be some mistakes along the way, some growing pains, as I imagine, along with this, with both teams. But we'll see who we end up going here. Arkansas Pine-Bluff, by the way, looking really good early here. Another huge touchdown run, this time by their backup tailback. This guy came in after Doug Rose ended up getting injured early in this first quarter. and he notches up a 78-yard reception from it. 14-0 lead, and it's might continue to keep growing here as Jarrell Patterson, already a talented quarterback, showing the poise, showing the composure, calmly throws this absolute dot in the back of the end zone. 38-yard touchdown pass as Jarrell Patterson now gives the Golden Lions a 21-0 lead. And we'll see if Flash Williams can calm himself down. Williams looking to the right-hand side, just forcing it to his receiver there. Now he does come through and make the tackle that is going to prevent a pick six, but not what you wanted to see from your true freshman at quarterback, especially when you give him the opportunity to start early for your football team, and it sets up yet another touchdown. The lead will continue to grow here. It's going to now be a 28-0 lead as that toss play to the left is going to, gets perfect blocking, all of that good stuff. And the Maine Black Bears getting embarrassed early as this 28-0 lead could get a little bit worse as we go ahead. See this receiver taking on the punt return, and there is nobody around him. Wide but naked open, running his way into the end zone, and it's another touchdown for the Golden Lions with a 35-0 lead. In the first quarter, this was all in the first quarter. We just now getting into the second quarter. Granted, the second quarter is certainly not that much better as the backup tailback, he's going to get yet another rushing touchdown. Aaron Carter. Hey, Mr. Carter, where the heck have you been? Because you are stepping up right now and making some great plays for your football team. 42-0. That's the score. 42-0, and Maine, they are getting bamboozled. They are getting flabbergasted. I don't know what else you can do. Just like one of those things, you got to pack it in, maybe get the backups in a little bit earlier, because I don't think that the Golden Lions are going to relinquish a 42-point lead. That would be absolutely unheard of, would deserve absolute roasting if they somehow lose this game still. But I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen here. Although Maine does make a nice play on defense, middle linebacker, able to blow up that fullback. But now, a few plays later on 3rd and 5, they send the blitz, and one-on-one as Will Smith III is going to give up a touchdown here. Just getting mossed a second time. 2 times we've seen this man get mossed. Not a good collegiate debut either for Will Smith III. As Arkansas Pine-Bluff is going to walk away here with a huge win, winning by the final score of 59-7. So before we go ahead and jump into the final game of week number 2, let's go ahead and take a look at some scores around the NCAA just to see what kind of action that we're witnessing. And oh my goodness, do we have some upsets here. First and foremost, we got Western Carolina pulling the upset against SMU. Western Carolina winning 38-31 as the Catamounts, they improved their winning streak. They're now 3-game winning streak. Dates back to last season, whereas SMU, they lose their first game of the year, so should see the Catamounts jump into that top 25. However, the Ohio Bobcats, they avoid that same trap though, as they do end up spoiling the debut of Kalen Ragsdale, I believe, who is starting for South Dakota State. He ends up being the #1 quarterback in the class. I do remember that. But Ohio winning 37-14 as the Jackrabbits still have some work to do in building their program up. As for Eastern Carolina, they take care of business relatively easy against Troy, winning 48-10. Eastern Carolina proving that they're the #2 team in college football as of right now. As for Temple, though, another shocking upset. The Elon Phoenix pulling off the huge upset, winning 25-20. The Temple Owls might be in some serious danger of falling out of the top 25, as this loss to Elon was definitely pretty unexpected. As for Texas Southern, they had the pleasure of going up against Tennessee. Texas Southern, they got to get those paychecks somehow, but Texas Southern did not look that great on the football field, losing to Tennessee 49-17 in this one. A tough opener for the Tigers. As for Ball State, they absolutely crushed the Delaware Blue Hens, winning 44-3. Now, Delaware is a team that did make it into the FCS playoffs in season number 1, but not what you're looking for to start year number 2, as they were absolutely pulverized in this one, did not get into the end zone, and not even scoring until the third quarter when the game was already in hand. As for Akron, though, they actually nearly got upsetted by Tennessee Martin. A very close game, but Akron pulls it out 36-34, narrowly escaping the upset as Akron won that fourth quarter. That's what ended up mattering at the end. As for Tulane, they also avoid the narrow upset. They win 23-21 against the Bearcats of Sam Houston State, led by Jack Irvin once again. The Bearcats tried to run it back in the fourth quarter, but just ran out of time. As for New Mexico State, look for them to fall out of the top 25 as they were upset on the road by Idaho State. Idaho State, the second time in this series playing against, at least starting the season against a top 25 team, and this time being more successful with a 28-14 victory. As for Central Michigan, they were very close to losing this game as well, as they narrowly lost to Murray State. The Chippewas end up winning 17-14, Murray State following the 0-1. As for Utah State, though, they did have a little bit of a better time than the Chippewas as they took on the University of Missouri in Kansas City, winning 52-21 in this game. It was a dominant performance for the Aggies. Mid-Tennessee State, though, almost had a letdown as they got into the top 25 after beating North Dakota State. They went on the road to play against Wofford, and Wofford just barely lost. 21-14 end up being the final score, but the Blue Raiders improved to 2-0. Rhode Island started off their season playing up against Notre Dame, and not how they wanted to start things necessarily. Also looking for that paycheck, they lost to the Fighting Irish 45-14. Meanwhile, the defending national champions, the Kent State Golden Flashes, started their season on the road against Norfolk State, winning 31-24, as that now improves on the longest winning streak in this FCS universe. Currently, they now have a 6-game winning streak. Florida International started off the season playing up against the Cougars of Charleston, and FIU, proving that maybe they deserve some looks in terms of getting ranked. They win big in their home opener, 49-14 against Charleston. But the biggest surprise of the week, how about this? The former Division III school, St. Thomas, they go on the road, they play against number 1 UNLV, and St. Thomas wins 30-27 in overtime. Absolutely insane. Congratulations to the Tommies, as this is their first huge victory in program history. Keeping up with the upset, so Idaho also will likely be falling outside of the top 25 as they went on the road against Northern Arizona, and the Lumberjacks pull one out. They win 38-35 in what was an absolutely insane shootout. San Diego State also almost fell into that trap as well, as they went on the road to play against Sacramento State, but the Hornets did not have enough sting as San Diego State wins 21-14, improving to 1-0, but a great effort by the Hornets. So with all the notable scores officially out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the final game of the episode. We got the Towson Tigers, who we haven't really seen in this series. I think it's the first time that we're at least watching them in gameplay go up against a team that you guys might be more familiar with, the number 7 Georgia Southern Eagles, led by their quarterback Ikeda Woods. It's not about the size of the dog, it's about the bark in the dog, and Ikeda Woods definitely exemplifies that. 5'6", but he's going to have to watch his team kick the ball off here first to start season number 2 for the Georgia Southern Eagles, as Towson is going to take this kickoff. And how about this for sending a message early? taking it to the 20, the 10, touchdown, Towson. And the Tigers of Towson end up striking first, and they're going to take an early lead here. Matter of fact, Towson's got a good team. This is a better team than I anticipated. Now, they were ranked in about the middle of the pack in the preseason poll. They come into this one number 51, like just outside the top 50. So by no means close to making it to the playoffs as an at-large, but definitely not a team that you should take for granted just yet, as Georgia Southern's going to get their tailback involved, and that's going to be the first touchdown of the year for the Eagles as it turns into a foot race, and no one's going to be able to catch that man as he rounds that quarter and just blocking to perfection. As Georgia Southern, known for running that football, they live up to that here early. As now Towson still with that one possession lead, though. We'll see if they can make this 21-7, as we're going to see a throw down to the right hand side, and it's going to be caught. Huge gain downfield as Richard Carter is feeling himself in this one. 4 consecutive completions. It's now going to set up a red zone opportunity for Carter. Looking to his right. Hey, Mr. Carter, how about 2 passing touchdowns here in the first quarter, as Towson just shocking Georgia Southern here early. You can hear a squirrel fart in the stadium right now, and definitely some work needed to be done, and that's not it. That's not what you need to be looking for right now. Turning the ball over when you're already down by 2 scores. Oh, you hate to see it, because Carter is feeling himself now. You can't do anything tricky with him, especially when that impact star is flashing the way that it is, as Carter looks for touchdown number 3, and he's gonna get it. Touchdown Tigers. And Georgia Southern gonna be backed up against a wall here early. 21-point deficit. And one weakness for Georgia Southern, they're not the best passing team. So this could end in yet another upset here in the top 25. We've been seeing a lot of upsets, either in between gameplay or either in between, just watching really, in the simulations too, like games that end up being simulated. As Carter, he's gonna throw another one down the middle. Beautiful touch on that pass. That is not an easy throw to make either, and Carter is able to get it through in there, as he had to get that over the linebacker too. On top of it, couldn't just be a straight bullet. As now Carter's gonna drop back here on 2nd and 6, tries to get it out to the running back, but it ends up being a hospital ball, as he ends up getting thrown into oblivion. He is gonna be okay though, as Carter drops back again on this 3rd down, looks over the right hand side, finds his receiver, and his receiver is gonna fight and claw with his fingernails into the end zone. Touchdown Towson. And the Tigers with a 35-7 lead here all of a sudden, just getting torched by this quarterback. And now Ikeda Woods is going to be forced to, try to make some plays. And to his credit, he does. No, this is actually Matt Greenwood. Ikeda Woods got hurt. And I'm actually looking back. I look back at the recording, and it looks, Ikeda Woods actually does end up getting hurt for the remainder of this game. So this is now the backup Matt Greenwood that's going to be in now. So if a second stringer comes up in there, he does get a touchdown at least, but can this defense get some plays here? Because you're down by 3 scores still. It's not going to be an easy comeback to make whatsoever. We'll see if they can do that, as Carter is going to... No, it's going to be a passing play. And how about this? The running back showing some pocket presence. Look at this play. I mean, from the receiver standpoint, good job by him by going back to the football. But the halfback, he had to climb in the pocket. That is not an easy thing to do if you're not used to doing that. And, Carter is just going to, lead his team to at least another red zone opportunity. Doing a little bit of everything for Towson here. He's got close to 50 yards rushing here too. As now, 3rd and short from the 13, looking to possibly get a dagger. Carter for touchdown number 4, and he gets it. Dumping it off to the fullback as he was wide butt naked open, and ends up being a touchdown for the Tigers. 42-14. Oh, baby, is Georgia Southern in some serious trouble now. They got the backups in the game, and when the backups come into the game, obviously Towson doesn't play as well. I mean, it's the backups, right? You know, like they don't have as much experience or they don't have as much talent. That's why they're playing as backups, you know. But Matt Greenwood actually gets hurt in this game as well, so they're down to their first string quarterback. I have no idea who this first string quarterback is, but he does a good job hitting it off to the running back, though. They do get one more touchdown on the board to get it down to a 3-score game. But in this case, though, it was just too little too late. And Towson pulls off a stunning upset here in this episode. Down goes Georgia Southern, and the Tigers win it by a final score of 42-21, winning convincingly. Now, I don't expect Towson to jump into the top 25. Obviously, they're a little bit far away down in the rankings for that, but hey, maybe Towson's a sleeper to go to the FCS playoffs for the first time. You never know, because it was a good performance for Towson in today's game against Georgia Southern, and it showed out there on the field. Hopefully, Georgia Southern can get back on track. So this being the first full week of gameplay action, and let me tell you guys, we've seen some insane action, not only within the games, but also in the simulated games as well. So surely this means there has to be quite a shakeup in terms of the top 25 polls, and we surely got some of that. New number 1, for example, got Eastern Carolina. Their 38-point win against Troy was good enough to move them up to number 1, followed by San Diego State and Kent State, the defending champs, sitting at number 3 in the country. North Texas, their huge win against Southern gets them to number 4 and 1 first place vote. And then James Madison, despite almost losing to Brown in overtime, they also move up 1 spot to number 5. As for Montana, Montana moves up to 6 after a 35-10 victory over the Citadel. Utah State moves up. New Hampshire hasn't played yet, but they are going to be in the top 10. No surprises there. Who else we got? North Dakota State, they move up a couple of spots despite being on a bye week as well. We also see Georgia Southern fall 9 spots. They fall down to number 16 in the country after their 3-touchdown loss to the Towson Tigers. Definitely not ideal, but still plenty of football left to play. Tennessee Tech moves up a few spots while being on the bye week. UNLV moves 18 spots down. Wow, that has to be the biggest drop in this entire dynasty so far. St. Thomas really out here trying to break some hearts early in the season. You love to see it, though. Checking out the remaining top 25 rankings. UCF is in the top 25 for the first time this year. So is Youngstown State. Western Carolina makes their first appearance in the series in the top 25. And then Southeastern, the Lions, after their 2-touchdown win over San Jose State, they do end up in the top 25 as well. Some teams in receiving votes as well. Southeast Missouri State, Western Kentucky, South Carolina State, and UMass is in here as well. So UMass has actually been on a hot streak. Maybe they can be a team that possibly sneaks into the FCS playoffs this year. You never know. Anything is possible this early in the season. So this does also create some changes in the Heisman watch. We still have the relatively same top 5, I believe, except with one notable exception. We do have Barrett Haston. He is currently still on top. A huge game against Troy. Ends up with 3 total touchdowns and nearly 200 yards of total offense. Ikeda Woods remains at second place, though, even though he only carried the ball 5 times. He did get hurt early in the game, so we didn't really get to see as much Ikeda Woods as I wanted to, but he's still in there. Maurice Gray remains in 3rd place. He had a big game against Brown, 166 yards and a touchdown. But the biggest story, though, is Ivan Jenkins, who he had a career day, one of the best days in college football, 400 yards of total offense, 5 total touchdowns on the day. Huge reason why they beat Southern. And then Kenny Raymer, he still remains in the top 5, but after finishing completing less than 50% of his passes. He is now down to 5th place in the Heisman watch. So with the performance that Ivan Jenkins did end up having, though, it's no surprise that he was named the NCAA Offensive Player of the Week. Ivan Jenkins, 77-14 victory. We all know this. He was a beast out there against the Jaguars. But how about this? We got a true freshman, though, in Tim Morris, the cornerback for Northeastern, did get the start against Jackson State in the home opener. His team ends up winning in overtime 26-23, and looks like we do have some freshmen that are stepping up and adjusting to the college game pretty well. The speed of college football, as he ends up with 8 tackles, 3 interceptions, and a forced fumble too. A menace to society. We'll see if Tim Morris appears on this list more, but with performances like that, I think Northeastern certainly has a special player. So this will go ahead and wrap up week number 2 action. As we saw a lot of upsets, we saw a huge shakeup in the top 25 polls. We'll see if this next episode can also live up to that, as non-conference play is an interesting beast. So next time out, we'll have another 8 games for week number 3 here in this second season of the FCS Dynasty. So I hope you guys are excited for it. If you are, need you guys to do me a huge favor real quick. Smack that like button, and then of course, hit the subscribe button as well. If you do happen to be brand spanking new, hit that noti bell as well. But with that, this is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.